Well, reports that we are getting is that the death toll has gone over the 200 mark for Zimbabwe, and for Mozambique and Malawi, it's now standing way above 500. We keep getting updates. As you are aware today, Zimbabwean rescue teams managed to reach one of the most affected areas called Kopa. This is where a whole settlement was washed away, where villagers, where residents in that area it's non-existent as we speak. It's just rubble that is left in that settlement, and this is the area where it's expected that then there are going to be more numbers of bodies that are going to be discovered. There are going to be more, records for more people that are missing. Simply.
And we understand that some bodies have been floating well into Mozambique. Have you heard anything to that effect?
Yes, the President, Emmerson Mnangagwa, yesterday during his State of the Nation address did indicate that some bodies were indeed being discovered in Mozambique. He also highlighted that he's working with his Mozambican counterparts to make sure that all the bodies are accounted for, to make sure that decent burials are conducted for all those that either will be discovered in Zimbabwe or in Mozambique. But he did confirm that bodies are washing up as far as Mozambique, and they are working with Mozambican authorities to either repatriate or to bury the bodies that would have been discovered.
Who's mainly responsible for the search and rescue? Is it the authorities there, as you've just mentioned, or is it mainly the civic organizations?
Well, at the current moment, it's everyone. The government is doing its part, as you see in some of the pictures. The military is involved in the search and rescue efforts. You also have civil organizations. You also have individuals themselves helping in this search. So everyone, it's a concerted effort where everyone has come on board, where everyone is now helping out in the search and rescue, where everyone is helping out. Even the residents themselves, the place that I spoke about called Kopa, it's actually the residents of the area who are digging using some of the most primitive tools, just a simple shovel, just simple a hoe or sticks or something, just to dig in the mud to look for relatives and colleagues. So really, it's everyone at this point in time.
So, yeah, it might have an effect on the actual death toll, I do believe, because so many of the families have been coming forth to report that there are relatives that are still missing. How many families do we know so far who've actually reported that they still haven't found their relatives?
Well, at the moment, I cannot give you a specific figure, but what I can say is that in Chimanimani, remember this happened over in like many districts in Zimbabwe, like 5 major districts that have been affected. You have Chimanimani district, which is in Manicaland. You have Chipinge district, which is also in Manicaland. You have other districts that are in a separate province of Masvingo, where deaths have been reported but no missing persons. The number of missing persons has been largely reported around the Manicaland province, and now that they've reached some of these some of these areas which have been inaccessible over the few days, the numbers, the records keep getting updated. So at the present moment, as of last night, I remember the number of missing people was around 4,000. Number of affected people was around 4,000, but that number has since grown. We wait to see when the Ministry of Information does release the compiled figures that they would have received from the Ministry of Home Affairs as to the actual numbers that they would have gathered from this area called Kopa, where now rescue efforts are, where rescuers have managed to reach this place, where we understand that roads have now been created to make sure that help and aid reaches this area. So this area, really, we expect a lot more. We expect the numbers to actually swell, as information is filtered through.
Ephert, the government has been heavily criticized for failing to make contingency plans along the path of Cyclone Idai, and President Emmerson Mnangagwa himself was reported to have flown to Asia on hiring a private jet, on the eve of the Cyclone Idai. But is this perhaps a fortunate, or rather a fair criticism?
Well, it's in his own defense. He said he was aware about the cyclone when he left the country, but he wasn't aware, or he didn't anticipate the level of destruction, the level of the impact of the cyclone. So he did indicate that he was aware before even leaving the country. But even the aid agencies, the civil society are saying no one anticipated the level, no one anticipated the impact of how much it will affect Zimbabwe. Simpio, you will recall that, or you will appreciate that as it stands right now, actually the death toll in Zimbabwe stands even higher than, or it's almost matching that of Mozambique Beira. So really, no one anticipated that 300 kilometers away, the impact will be felt that much, that there will be so much death. I think people just underestimated its impact. People underestimated, the outcome of the cyclone, including even the media themselves. They in the early stages, they were not reporting much. They were just reporting it just as an ordinary cyclone, or as just an ordinary weather event, until stories started coming out of Manicaland, until people started reporting the effects and how much destruction the cyclone has caused.
Well, the world